Many of you know that I'm a massive fan of Coros watches. And no, they didn't pay me to say any of that, even though I think they should. So Coros, are you listening? Send some money my way, some royalties. But anyways, by far my favorite model is the Coros Pace 2, which I checked out last year, and that's the watch that Eliud Kipchoge wears for his record-breaking marathons, by the way. And this was made extra potent when paired with the $70 Pod Strike sensor, which was a clip-on, which I looked at as well last year. Now for 2023, Coros is starting off by upgrading its popular outdoor GPS watch, one that lies between the Pace and the highest end model, the Vertix. This is the Apex 2, and I think this might be coincidence, but our new son's Chinese name also means Apex. So Liangfeng, this is dedicated to you. Anyways, I've spent some time putting this through its paces, so if you're researching for a rugged, lightweight, non-smartwatch, that's a key one right there, training-focused setup with killer battery life, this is the video to watch. I hope anyway. And also along for the ride, we have the brand new Pod 2. Now, a word of warning, this episode will be lengthier than usual because there's quite a lot of information to unpack for you, so thank you in advance for your patience. Feel free to use the chapter links below. Don't forget to subscribe. So if you're ready to do it, let's go. The Apex 2 base model, this one comes in at $400, and if you go for the Pro model, which is just slightly larger with a little bit of extra features, that's another $100 extra. There are quite a lot of changes from the Apex one, so let me jump into those. The 1.2-inch 240 by 240 resolution LCD color touch display is protected now by a layer of sapphire glass, and the display panel is of the always-on variety. So see, if I point it directly at my studio lights right here, which is really bright, and in direct sunlight as well, this thing is highly visible. It's at the expense of color vibrance. As you can see, it's kind of pale, and it's also really easy on the battery. And if you go for the Pro model, by the way, it's 1.3 inches, so slightly larger. New for this year, guys, is an all systems GNSS positioning mode. If you get the Pro model, there's also dual frequency as well. There's blood oxygen sensing, a new heart rate sensor over the back here. You see the whole new different design. Global map GPX uploads. With the Pro model, they come preloaded, so there's a small difference there. And the watch face dims now with night mode if you want to. There's Wi-Fi connectivity and Bluetooth 5.0 versus 4.2 in the old one. There's 8 gigs of storage on board for the base model, and I think it's 32 gigs for the Pro model, with the option to upload your own music for playback via Bluetooth connected device. There's no onboard speakers, so you can't play media or whatever on the device itself. Battery life is monster, guys. 17 days on this model, 30 days for Pro. And with the all systems GPS on, I got like 25.5 hours. And that doubles, guys, when you switch to regular second by second refresh rate GPS. That's pretty darn impressive. Weight is 42 grams with the strap, which you can thank in part to the use of light materials, like the body is mostly plastic, really solid as well though, with a titanium battery cover on the back here. The whole thing, this is not aluminum or stainless steel, is titanium, as well as titanium bezel surround, which is really nice. For those of you who own the OG Apex, you might notice that there's a new upper button right here that primarily functions as the backlight on and off. See that? And it shares space with the good old bottom button as well as the rotating crown. Navigation, by the way, used to be via the buttons only, but now with this new generation, it has touch. Although touch is still restricted to swiping one line at a time like this, selecting still relies on the buttons, which is a fine choice in sports settings. Now, besides scrolling, the crown is still used to zoom in and out of maps as well. Is it just me, or is the nylon Velcro strap a little bit on the small side? It's at maximum aperture right now, and I really have a hard time taking it on and off. And if I remember correctly, the Pro model is no different in terms of diameter. But thankfully, this is not proprietary in terms of the clip itself. You just pop the spring off and just get an extra, third-party strap if you have to. It's a pity you have to spend extra for it, but it's there at least. The Apex 2 supports a whole bunch of workout modes. There's run, indoor run, trail run, track run, hike, walk, mountain climb, bike, indoor bike, pool swim, open water, speed surfing, windsurfing, rowing, indoor rower, white water, flat water, triathlon, strength, jump rope, gym cardio, GPS cardio, ski, snowboard, cross-country ski, ski touring, multi-sport. And the only thing the Pro model has that the base does not is multi-pitch climbing. I could have just said that, right? The new Coros Pods 2 retails for $20 more than its predecessor, so it's $100 now, and it serves as a supplementary sensor to fill in the gaps for the watch where it loses signal, or it misses some data, like if you're running through a densely populated metropolitan area with a lot of tall buildings, or if you're running through a cave or something like that where the GPS is lost. This will keep on counting your steps and measuring your cadence because it doesn't rely on GPS. It has a compass, it has a gyroscope, and five sensors altogether, measuring your footsteps at any given time. And it's really convenient now that it has its charging cable with a few charges, so you don't have to worry about charging it if you're taking this on the go. If you need to refill it, there is a USB-C charging port there. You pop it on and off with this button right here and take it out of cradle. Popping it back on will automatically start charging it. It's really, really convenient. And there are two ways to use it. There's this belt clip that you just have it between your butt crack, and that's the space that they want you to put it on if you want to wear it on your body. You slip it on, and this is silicone, easy to clip on. Or the other one is a shoe clip. You have it right behind the lace right here, and you just clip it on like so. Let me try to do it properly. There you go. And make sure it points directly forward, and then it will measure your footsteps and cadence pretty darn well. As a complete package, and by that I mean the watch, the app, Coros's customer support, their long-term update plan is all exemplary. And let me say something right quick about the company itself. For a watchmaker this young, they've only been making watches for 5 years if I remember correctly. It's impressive how much brand cachet it already has. This kind of following usually takes so much longer, like sometimes decades to build, so the fact that it's already among the industry leaders at the tip of everyone's tongue right now says something, right? As for the Apex 2 itself, the breadth of training/fitness focus functions with built-in recovery and training programs for most of the listed activities built into this device is pretty darn strong. Say you want to track and analyze each discipline of your triathlon training? Oh yeah, you can do it. Or have the GPS determine what lane you're actually running on in an indoor track or around swim buoys doing open water swim? Yes, this thing can do it too. Or how about indoor climbing, where the watch stores data just beyond like your heart rate and climb time? Like how many times you've fallen, or the fall distance that you've made, whether you flashed or rate pointed a route, and so on and so forth. However, one negative about consumer GPS tech in general, but I'm bringing it up here because it's oddly quite prominent on the Apex, as well as the Vertex I tested before. Tracking activities at low speed, like walking and slower, and also in relatively small quarters, like think the size of your own backyard, can be an exercise in frustration. On screen right here, you see what the Apex thought I did when I snow shoveled my driveway one day versus a Galaxy Watch 5 Pro that I had on the other wrist tracking the exact same thing in the exact same mode. I was doing a lot of zigzagging, pausing here and there to take rests. You know how it works. Here's the thing, the Coros tracked only half the actual distance and time I covered, whereas the Samsung was actually truer to actual, believe it or not. But then again, the Watch 5 Pro decided it was bored and drew a penis on the map instead. Now, once you spread your activity out over a combination of wider space and increased speed, how watches like the Apex interpret and smooth out GPS data that they collect becomes more reliable. I repeated the snow shoveling scenario a few more times and basically got the same, sometimes worse results. But when I took it out on runs and walks, things that it was designed for, it behaved more like a good GPS watch should. It's not the best in the industry, maybe around 4 to 6 feet off actual, but that's still pretty darn awesome. This keeps blowing my mind, guys. A watch with this kind of toughness and capability shouldn't be this light, but it is. Each time I switch over from testing other smartwatches like the Watch 5 Pro, and I know they're not in the same category, I'm amazed still by how the Apex feels like you're almost wearing nothing, which makes sense since serious athletes are always looking for every ounce of savings on their person. And I also find it funny how law enforcement uses the term on their person so much. Why can't they use on their body like everyone else? Yeah, on their person. It's like what humans that have been taken over by aliens say, isn't it? Anyways, I digress. My older son, who's a total Gen Zer and therefore a sad blind worshipper of all things Apple, has seen this watch laying around a few times and actually said that the Apex 2 looks really nice. I know, right? Surprise, surprise. Especially in this light gray, the matte titanium accents make for a rather handsome design. So combined with the low weight and the good looks, I don't hesitate wearing this all the time as my daily. For both convenience and literal signal enhancement, the Pod 2's strength lies in its ability to counter any GPS disruptions on the watch when you're under, like, say, thick forest cover or a deep ravine or running indoors. This thing is great, but sometimes, But this has a suite of sensors to fill in the gaps and, more importantly, plot out your feet motion and cadence in almost like 3D XYZ space. I found this thing particularly effective on gym equipment of all places, where, you're pretty much working out on the same spot all the time. Watches and the machine itself just can't beat the responsiveness of the Pod 2 when it's constantly reading what your feet are doing in space at any given time. I would have liked to have sleep tracking belong in the positives, to be honest, but this thing's inability to sense multiple sleep times per day is totally whack, guys. It's accurate if the watch is asked to track, like, say, one stretch of sleep, but say in my case, I take turns with my wife to put the baby to sleep at night. The watch only captures my first round of sleep and then fails to acknowledge any subsequent rounds or naps that I take later in the day. Coros killed it with the Pace 2. $200, guys, is an incredible value proposition for what it can do, and it could do a lot. But for $400 starting for the Apex, Coros is playing too close to the competition in terms of price matching them. With other brands offering slightly better accuracy, more color options, larger user community, more third-party app support, and with Garmin, for example, access to its vast library of topographical maps to download, guess where potential customers are going to look first. So Coros, pay attention to your pricing. Thank you, Coros, for finally bringing swipe gestures to your watches. Users coming from fitness watches made in 2006 with touch interfaces will feel right at home. Yes, if you like swiping one line of text at a time while watching your soul die and hair turn white, as the Chinese would say, 当你死了真係, this is the interface for you. And I know some of you will argue that single line scrolling is ideal for sporting situations, like so you can minimize overshooting the desired selection when you're jostling around. I counter that this is 2023, guys, and some kind of customization for accelerometer speed would keep most parties satisfied. So Coros, give us options. Two simple wishes I have for the next Pod 3, or whatever they're gonna call it, which the Pod 2 currently doesn't have. First, throw in Ant Plus to support gym machine pairing. That would be so useful, guys. And secondly, include the Bluetooth Smart Protocol so it can be used with other watches. Right now, you're locked into using it with Coros watches only. Both of these are huge omissions and a really missed opportunity, because otherwise I think this would be selling like hotcakes. The Apex 2, I'll tell you what, is a pretty darn awesome sports watch that's robust yet lightweight, feature-packed yet pretty darn easy to use at the same time. Improvements over the Apex numero uno, like the powerful all-systems GNSS if you want to turn it on, SPO2 sensing, and the ability to upload GPX maps definitely help to future-proof this thing quite a bit. Now, on the flip side, unless you're currently or are an aspiring sports, i.e. non-recreational outdoor adventurer or hiker, there are other more mainstream options like Apple Watch Ultra or Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 series, which have enough tracking and fitness chops to hold their own against dedicated sports watches, although you're doing that in exchange of much crappier battery life. And speaking of dedicated sports watches again, in all fairness, get a Garmin or Polar if you can swing it. They cost quite a bit more, but they capture marginally more accurate GPS data than the Coros can, if that's your jam, if you want the best of the best. Side note, I also just saw Garmin roll out their new, more expensive Forerunner 265 and 965, if you remember correctly, with their fancy AMOLED displays. They're a great option to put on your shopping list as well. As for the Pod 2, I'll have an easier time to recommend this if it was like $20 to $30 cheaper for what it offers. So if you really want it, wait for it to go on sale. And Coros, next time please add Ant Plus support and you can definitely have my money. Oh yes. So with all that said, I say definitely check out the Apex 2. It's fire. It'll take your training and recovery up a notch. So I'm giving this a GearUP score of 8.6 out of 10, with the Pod 2 coming in at 8.3 out of 10. Oh my goodness, that was a long video. I'm having cramps in my jaw. And I don't blame you if you like stopped after watching this for 5 minutes. But if you made it to the end, a million life points to you. You're a trooper. Thank you so much for watching this. If you like what I'm doing, if you like to see more tech videos like this, check out my playlist. I have a whole lot more there. And also remember to subscribe, thumbs up if you like it. Share this with your family and friends, everybody you know, because I like to grow this, get me to 50,000 subs. And visit me on Patreon, super thanks button down below as well if you like to drop me a tip or something. That would be super cool. And remember guys, to come back next time, do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? The world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. So go out and do something nice. I love you all very much. Peace out. God bless.